This was not simply a military operation. It became the largest intelligence investigation in modern history. Satellites scanned mountains, analysts processed millions of reports, and agents pursued countless leads that ultimately led nowhere. The breakthrough would not come through overwhelming technology alone, but through years of patient observation and one overlooked connection. Behind every classified briefing stood thousands of intelligence officers who would never receive public recognition for their work. Year after year, investigators followed rumors, intercepted messages, and captured documents, yet the world's most wanted terrorist remained invisible. Then, after nearly a decade of failure, investigators noticed a single clue that would quietly change the entire investigation. This is the extraordinary story of how intelligence, surveillance, and special operations combined to locate the world's most wanted man. The attacks of September 11, 2001 fundamentally reshaped global security and immediately triggered the largest international manhunt in modern history. Within hours, intelligence agencies shifted from monitoring terrorist networks to coordinating a global effort to identify everyone responsible. The Central Intelligence Agency immediately established dedicated task forces focused on dismantling the organization and locating its elusive leadership. Investigators quickly concluded that capturing senior leaders would require intelligence precision rather than overwhelming military force alone. Early reports suggested the organization's leadership had escaped into the mountainous border region separating Afghanistan and Pakistan. Thousands of reports flooded intelligence headquarters, yet many contradicted one another and consumed valuable investigative resources. Months gradually became years as investigators refined their methods, learning that patience would become their greatest operational advantage. Eventually, investigators realized that finding one trusted courier might prove easier than finding the world's most wanted fugitive himself. Finding a man determined never to be found required abandoning conventional military thinking in favor of patient intelligence work. Field officers interviewed sources across multiple countries, collecting fragments of information that rarely made sense on their own. Signals intelligence searched relentlessly for electronic communications, yet investigators discovered that their primary target had almost vanished from the digital world. Without regular phone calls, emails, or internet activity, analysts were forced to search for indirect evidence instead of direct communication. Captured computers, handwritten notebooks, and recovered documents gradually revealed how the organization communicated while avoiding modern surveillance. Thousands of promising leads collapsed under closer examination, reminding investigators that intelligence work advances one verified fact at a time. As years passed, analysts stopped asking where their target was hiding and began asking who could still reach him. That simple shift in thinking would ultimately unlock the investigation and lead analysts toward the most important breakthrough of the entire decade. After years of chasing shadows, investigators redirected the entire manhunt toward one trusted courier believed to maintain direct contact with senior leadership. The courier's real identity remained uncertain for years, but fragments from interrogations and intelligence reports repeatedly pointed investigators. Analysts concluded that following the courier offered a far greater chance of success than continuing to search directly for the organization's hidden leader. Instead of searching entire countries, surveillance teams reconstructed the courier's movements one journey at a time. Eventually, repeated surveillance revealed the courier driving toward an unusually isolated residential compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. Nothing immediately proved who lived inside, yet the property displayed several features unlike any neighboring residence. Investigators quietly shifted from tracking a moving courier to watching one location every hour of every day. Months of uninterrupted surveillance transformed one anonymous residence into the most closely watched compound on Earth. At first glance, the Abbottabad compound appeared unremarkable, yet experienced analysts immediately noticed details that demanded closer examination. The residence was surrounded by unusually high perimeter walls topped with privacy barriers rarely seen in ordinary residential neighborhoods. Unlike surrounding homes, the compound lacked visible telephone and internet connections despite its unusually large size. Residents also avoided placing household waste outside for collection, choosing instead to burn it within the compound itself. Every unusual characteristic seemed insignificant alone, but together they formed a compelling intelligence pattern impossible to ignore. Intelligence officers still lacked photographic confirmation, forcing them to rely on behavioral analysis rather than visual identification. One unidentified resident regularly walked inside the compound without ever leaving its walls, attracting increasing attention from experienced analysts. By late 2010, many intelligence officials believed they had finally located the compound they had spent nearly a decade searching for. Once the compound became the investigation's primary focus, the Central Intelligence Agency launched one of its most intensive surveillance operations ever conducted. Surveillance continued around the clock as analysts documented every arrival, departure, and daily routine associated with the compound. Rather than rushing toward conclusions, intelligence officers carefully verified every observation through multiple independent sources before updating their assessments. Engineers even constructed detailed three-dimensional models so analysts could better understand the compound's unusual layout and security features. Every window, rooftop, entrance, and surrounding road became part of an increasingly detailed intelligence picture assembled over many months. Despite months of observation, analysts still could not positively confirm the identity of the compound's most mysterious resident. Senior officials now faced an extraordinary challenge, deciding whether the available intelligence justified an operation with enormous international consequences. The surveillance phase was ending, and attention now shifted toward planning one of the most carefully prepared special operations missions in history. Although confidence in the intelligence had grown substantially, absolute certainty remained impossible before any operation could begin. Military commanders and intelligence officials examined multiple options, each carrying significant operational, political, and diplomatic consequences. One proposal relied on precision airstrikes, but destroying the compound would also eliminate valuable intelligence and physical evidence. A covert helicopter raid offered the best opportunity to verify the target while recovering intelligence materials from inside the compound. To reduce uncertainty, engineers constructed full-scale replicas that allowed operators to rehearse every stage of the mission repeatedly. Every rehearsal refined the operation, improving coordination while preparing teams for multiple unexpected scenarios that could unfold within seconds. Meteorological conditions, moonlight, and aircraft performance were analyzed repeatedly because even minor variables could determine mission success. After months of preparation, the mission was finally approved, and the operation received its historic name, Operation Neptune Spear. On the night of May 2, 2011, specially selected helicopters lifted off carrying one of the most classified missions in American history. Flying at extremely low altitude helped reduce the chance of early detection, while crews navigated challenging terrain in complete darkness. Meanwhile, senior officials monitored the operation remotely, receiving updates as the mission progressed toward its objective. As the aircraft approached Abbottabad, every stage unfolded according to months of planning until an unexpected complication suddenly emerged. Pilots immediately adapted to changing conditions, demonstrating the importance of extensive preparation and disciplined decision-making under pressure. Ground teams continued the operation, systematically securing the compound while following the carefully rehearsed mission plan. Beyond the primary objective, operators also searched for documents, computers, and storage devices containing potentially valuable intelligence. Although the mission achieved its objective, one unexpected aviation incident would become one of the operation's most discussed technical mysteries. One of the mission's most surprising moments occurred before the assault had fully begun, when a helicopter encountered unexpected aerodynamic conditions. Investigators later concluded that high compound walls, confined airspace, and warm nighttime conditions created an exceptionally difficult environment for hovering flight. Instead of catastrophic failure, skilled pilots executed a controlled emergency landing that allowed the mission to continue almost immediately. Because the teams had rehearsed multiple contingency plans, operators adapted within seconds and continued the operation without abandoning the mission. The damaged helicopter could not be recovered intact, creating an unexpected technical challenge before the extraction phase. Specialized technology visible on the damaged aircraft immediately attracted worldwide attention after images later became public. Aviation specialists continue studying the incident as an example of how environmental factors can influence even the most advanced aircraft. While the helicopter became a famous symbol of the raid, the intelligence recovered inside the compound would prove even more significant. Beyond accomplishing the mission's primary objective, operators recovered an extraordinary collection of intelligence materials from inside the compound. Analysts immediately recognized that the recovered information could reveal years of communications, planning methods, and organizational structure. Instead of relying upon a single discovery, investigators combined thousands of recovered documents into one comprehensive intelligence picture. Forensic examination continued for months as specialists extracted valuable information from computers, storage devices, and handwritten records. Recovered materials helped analysts better understand communication practices that had intentionally minimized electronic surveillance for many years. The intelligence recovered during the operation continued supporting investigations long after the helicopters had departed Abbottabad. Many intelligence professionals later described the recovered archive as one of the operation's most strategically valuable achievements. The mission marked the end of one historic manhunt, but it also transformed intelligence operations for years to come. The Abbottabad operation demonstrated that long-term intelligence collection can achieve objectives that years of conventional military pressure could not. Perhaps the operation's greatest lesson was that intelligence success rarely depends upon a single breakthrough, but on thousands of verified details assembled over time. The mission also accelerated investment in advanced surveillance technology, digital forensics, and multinational intelligence cooperation. Special operations forces around the world carefully studied the mission as an example of planning, adaptability, and disciplined execution. Historians continue analyzing the operation because it combined intelligence, diplomacy, aviation, and special operations into one remarkably coordinated mission. Even today, portions of the mission remain classified, ensuring that some operational details may never become publicly known. Separating verified evidence from popular myths remains essential when examining any historic intelligence operation of this scale. The decade-long search ultimately proved that persistence, disciplined analysis, and international cooperation remain most powerful capabilities. Every intercepted message, every surveillance photograph, and every verified observation contributed to solving a puzzle that no single clue could ever complete. The operation permanently influenced how intelligence agencies integrate human sources, satellite surveillance, and digital forensic analysis into modern investigation. Its lasting significance extends beyond one mission, influencing intelligence doctrine, operational international security cooperation for years afterward. Behind every successful operation stand countless analysts, engineers, pilots, and specialists whose contributions often remain unknown to the public. For intelligence professionals, the Abbottabad investigation remains a benchmark in disciplined analysis, operational patience, and evidence-based decision-making. Ultimately, this extraordinary investigation reminds us that intelligence is rarely about dramatic moments, but about relentless attention to verified detail. Thank you for joining us as we explored one of the most remarkable intelligence operations ever documented in modern history. History often remembers the final outcome, yet the true achievement lay in a decade of disciplined intelligence work that made that outcome possible. The story you have just seen demonstrates how patience, verification, and careful analysis remain the foundation of successful intelligence operations worldwide. Future intelligence missions will undoubtedly evolve, but the principles demonstrated during this investigation will continue guiding professionals for generations. If you enjoy deeply researched military and intelligence documentaries, subscribe to the Debrief Room and join us for the next classified story.